Hey there viewers, my name's Torinski and welcome back to another Wednesday stream. I was really unsure of what I felt like playing today and didn't really know what we were going to end up starting up here, so I decided, why not just go with some Super Auto Pets. In my own downtime, I've definitely been using this game as a nice little relaxer, especially since you can play really short rounds, which is nice. So many games these days, especially online ones, require a minimum of half an hour to an hour to get going, but if you're ever looking for something to just pop into for 10-15 minutes and get through, Super Auto Pets is definitely the way to go. I know that everyone and their dog has been playing this lately on Twitch, but I thought it was still a good choice for a nice relaxing end to my Wednesday here. And so we'll be playing some of this throughout the next couple hours here and see how it goes. I've definitely played a little bit of it off stream here and gotten some practice in, but I'll definitely do a little bit of an introduction to the game here as we start off for anyone who isn't as familiar with it. And yeah, would highly recommend playing it yourself. It is free to play on Steam, and I love free to play. But okie dokie, without further ado, let's get into it. Play some Super Auto Pets here. So this game is generally classified as an auto battler, even though it doesn't have some of the normal features that we've come to expect from things like Dota's and League of Legends auto battlers. Instead, we just want to form a team of 5 animals here, put together a squad. Each creature has an attack value, health value, and some Rin text that give them some extra abilities, maybe in combat, maybe outside of combat, depending on which one we're talking about. And so you need to do our best to spend our gold each turn here and put together the best team that we can possibly imagine. So to start off, we have a fish. So when a fish levels up, give all friends +1 attack and +1 health, and that's a permanent buff. So in order to level up, we'd have to play this, which we can just do now, and then find 2 more fish in the store here in order to get that, and everyone else on our squad will gain that bonus. Horses, whenever friend is summoned, give it +1 attack until the end of battle. So that's one that's not quite as permanent as the fish's +1/+1, and instead is just temporary boost to maybe things that get summoned during the fight, or even just giving a temporary boost to things summoned on that turn that the horse is out. Hopefully I'm doing an okay job describing things. I definitely have a bit of experience in the game, and so that can very likely lead me to forget about something crucial here, but hopefully we can do a half-decent job. Last but not least, we have the otter. So on buy, we can give a random friend +1/+1. So right off the bat here, can pick up an otter, slot that buddy in, and it will give our fishy friend a nice little boost. And now, I'm not really that interested in the horse. Same with the honey pot. Summon a 1/1B after fainting. You know, this is a good example of how the horse can be used within a fight to boost up this V to a 2/1 instead. So instead of spending 3 gold on these, we can instead reroll. Rerolls cost 1 gold here, bring us down to a total of 3, but give us a nice opportunity to shop around here. And let's see, what do we wish to do? A beaver, on selling it, gives 2 random friends +1 health. An ant, when it faints, so when it dies in the fight here, it gives a random friend +2/+1. So that's a pretty solid boost to somebody behind them in line here. And last but not least, we have another one of these fishy friends, which we're definitely going to either put in the squad, or we can always freeze stuff as well, which will cause it to not become rerolled either when we hit the reroll button or when we go on to the next round here. And hey Brain, how's it going? And thank you so much for the subscription. I appreciate that a lot. 5 months now. Holy moly, rather. But always nice to see you. Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday here. And thanks again for the resubscription. I appreciate it a lot. As for our team, I think we'll start off by throwing another fish. It's tempting to go with the ant. Ants have been very much up my alley as of late, but we'll stick to just a strong squad statistically here. Fish being one of the tougher starter units that we can get. Also, game, are you okay? Oh, my happy Safid. Hope you're having a great day. Yeah, definitely playing a little bit. Super Auto Pets here. You know, it's the hot thing lately. Been seeing people play this game. It's pretty cute. Very much so. Yeah, I appreciate the little icons. And yeah, I don't know if you're here right at the start of the stream, but I was mentioning how this is my go-to game for if I have like 15 minutes that I just want to relax and do something mindless. This is always a great option for that. Also, servers definitely having some issues here as we try and buy our fish. Let's try one last time. Maybe, just maybe. Apparently, too many people are playing the game. It's not doing okay. Hmm. I didn't even think of what we'd do if this doesn't work. Guess play another one of our casual relaxation games, seeing as how I'm definitely in that kind of mood today. No, it's not doing okay. I don't think it's on my end, even though it definitely could be. Hmm. Maybe we'll have to do this another time. Which is too bad, because I was looking forward to playing some of this on stream. Maybe I'll freeze you, unfreeze you, freeze you, unfreeze you. For good luck. How long do I give this? Maybe, just maybe. It's thinking. It's a spinning. Well, that's interesting. That's a buzzkill to a certain extent for sure. I'm just gonna keep trying it, keep bashing my head against this wall until something gives. Whether that be the game itself or my own sanity here. Such a shame. Because, yeah, in general, I'd recommend trying this out, even though we're having some issues now. In general, it's been pretty good for the last while here, and it's a nice free play game. In fact, you can also do versus mode, which might be something we could try out in the future, playing against chat members if we have people that are interested in it. Hanging around, try a different slot. I know I'm like 4 deep past when I said just one last time, but I believe. Maybe, just maybe. Hey, there we go. He'll try not to backseat, David. Yeah, don't worry too much about it. Definitely go right ahead. I'm never one to be too upset about backseating. It's all part of the fun of being in chat sometimes, so I can appreciate that. I'm sure there'll be lots to do. I'll make plenty of mistakes. And hey, Callie, what's this cute game? Yeah, Super Auto Pets. It's definitely a lot of fun, a nice casual game to pop into. Hopefully, we can continue to play here without having too many issues. We were just dealing with some server problems. Probably is happening on my end. I can see that my bitrate is also suffering pretty drastically here. So hopefully we can get some good gaming in here. And if not, we might have to call this one a little bit early. Try and do something in the future. Now can we even hit enter no my? We'll have to see. I'm hoping that this part works out right. Okay, and so it does, which means we can get to show off one of the next most important parts of the game here. It's not just about making your team, it's also about naming your team. And I love the words that they've put into this generator here. It's always adjective noun. You can definitely get some fantastic combinations. So let's see what we have here. Adorable, huge, and illegal. I mean, adorable cakes, I think, is a pretty cute name. Huge cakes sounds pretty awesome. In fact, mostly I'm eyeing up this cakes. Right? Even illegal cakes is fantastic. So whether we want to be cute, delicious, or suspicious. Let's go with illegal cakes just for you, Safe It. I like it. We'll hop in, see what kind of team we go up against here. Everyone's building their groups here asynchronously and then all flooding into the system. This is a pretty good matchup to start out. These ducks here are mostly a scaling creature, not really meant to do well on their own here, so that does look like a nice early victory. Only our first unit going down. Always love to see that. Think how delicious a legal cake could be? You're not wrong. But okie doke. So I'm not a huge fan of what we see in our shop here, so we'll probably start with a reroll right off the bat. I'm gonna keep trying to buff these buddies up as much as possible. I'm definitely somebody who's a big fan of just gaining a statistical advantage to the point where it doesn't even matter what the flavor text says. If you just hit them hard enough. And we did definitely get a half decent group here for that. You grab a bad double or roll, right? Yeah, definitely have to roll on that. Usually looking for, at this point, another fish would be fantastic, even though what we have here is not too bad either. What we'll probably end up doing is throwing an ant in the front. Sounds good to me. We'll freeze the beaver. We could go with a duck for our next turn to potentially be really great, bring in some new squad members. Otherwise, it'd be beaver to sell next turn with the same reasoning as stuff like the otter, just trying to keep everyone buffing up. But we have 6 gold, so we already have more gold than we were able to spend for the time being. So let's just do a couple of rerolls, see if there's anything else that pops up here that is looking a little better to us. Another beaver, not exactly. Another otter would be nice. Ooh, even an ant is interesting. So what we might do now is throw double ants in the front here. We could combine these right away, gain a bit of a statistical boost to one of our ants, as well as get it further along towards the next level. But for now, we'll leave them both so that we get this effect twice in our round. We still have one more reroll to potentially try and grab something nice for next time. And without further ado, let's just head in with this team. In general, still looking like a pretty decent squad. I'm sure we'll have the potential to come up against something even stronger, of course. Interesting. So we'll get a B after that. Ooh, the buff on our ant was actually perfectly timed there. And no problems whatsoever taking out another squad. We do have a decent number of lives left, in fact all of them of course, so we're sitting pretty at the moment, feeling pretty happy. And now at this turn we have level 2 or tier 2 animals available in our shop, which also means we can do something a little bit sneaky, because when you level up a critter, it will actually give you a new choice that is from the tier above what is currently available. So upon reaching level 3 here, we get tier 2 pets, and then if I combine my fish, or if I combine my ants, it'll actually give me a tier 3 pet for free. Or not for free, but as a bonus, I guess, is the better way to phrase that. So the question becomes, do we want to combine our fish, give these friends bonuses, even though most of these friends aren't people we're super happy with keeping around, at least not for the entire game here? Or do we want to go with the ant for now, save the fish bonus for when we potentially have a bit more of a squad put together that we're happy to hang around? And I think where I end up here is on ant. So let's combine this up and see what we get. And there's our first tier 3 pet of the game. So when a friend eats shop food, give it +1 health. I'm definitely a pretty big fan of the rabbit. I highly value health in this game over attack, because if you can survive another hit, you're doubling your attack. It's that easy. And so I'm definitely a fan of the rabbit. It just means that we have to put a certain amount of money away into food in particular, just to keep the entire squad kind of upping up, and in order to make this rabbit worth it. And first to see level 3, so you can maybe buff it with the fish. Exactly. It's almost tempting to go with the fish as well, because we could try and go get a double level 3 here, see what else we get, but we can also save off for a round. It's not the end of the world. So what I might do is pick up a rabbit, And then maybe throw in one reroll, because we'll potentially be saving this fish for next round to see what else we get at our disposal here. And interesting. We do get a food item that's just a straight statistical buff, +1/+1, so we could start utilizing this rabbit. I mean, apples aren't the biggest thing for sure. Makes sense for a tier 1 food item. So the other option would be to sell our otter in order to put something else in the squad temporarily here. Whether that be another fish, could even try out this spider here, or maybe even just another ant up front, keep those bonuses cascading down. In fact, I do think I like the sound of that, so I'm going to sell my otter. Mostly was around just for that buy effect anyway, so not a huge deal to lose them. And then we can put this ant up at the front, much like we did in round 1. In fact, very similar squad here with just our back line changed up. And we still have one reroll around to see what else we find here. We'll move on. So we haven't found too much that scales on its own. I mean, rabbit definitely incentivizes scaling, at least on the health side of things, so that's always nice. We'll hopefully find some more bonuses in the future. Perfect. That ant doing very well for us. Combine fish, buy fish for efficiency. Maybe have in your play. Definitely would have been a happiest play, especially since if we got a level 3 there, we could have frozen it for the future, had something to go. But for now, we'll stick with what we've got and see what we want to do. A dodo popping up. Start a battle, give attack to the friend ahead. This could work nicely with our rabbit if we're able to gain a lot of health on a creature. Then being able to buff its damage to also get it up to a kind of equal level could definitely work out, especially since we could immediately get a +1/+1 through our fish here. Isn't bad. Of course, if we combine our ant or combine our fish and bring in the dodo, it does mean that we will have that one spot open for the dodo. Jeez, my brain broke down mid-sentence. If we combine one of these, we'll have one spot open for the dodo. There we go. That's the way that I think my mind wanted to phrase that. And then we could always combine the other to potentially bring in something else here. In fact, I think I like the sound of that. We'll combine those, bring in you. Then we can buy the fish, again, giving us another tier unit. Perfect. And the question becomes, do I want the whale? At the start of the battle, we can swallow a friend, and after the whale dies, or faints, sorry. Nobody dies in this game. It's a family-friendly show here. But after the whale faints, it will also drop another one. So this works well with stuff like our ant. We could get the faint effect twice on one of these buddies. Unfortunately, we would miss out on some of the statistical bonuses that we've been gaining up, thanks to leveling our friend here. So maybe for now, we'll just freeze that, roll once, see what the shop gives us here. And, Peacock gains some attack whenever it gets hurt without fainting. I used to really like the Peacock when I first started the game here, but lately I've definitely fallen off a bit, unless you can get the Peacock buffing up there so that it's much more likely to survive multiple hits. At this point, almost everybody is trying to get their stats up to this 5 mark anyway, by this stage in the game. So, for now, I'm actually going to just buy an apple for our fish here. Gets the +1/+1, and then another 1 health from our rabbit pal. And whale. I want to keep you. Whale's another creature that I initially really enjoyed bringing into the squad at any opportunity, but lately it's been a bit more niche for me. Still incredible if you have the right team for it, don't get me wrong. But because, like I mentioned earlier, my general flavorful approach to things is just to go big stats across the board. Usually you don't want to swallow something, taking out all those stats that you've managed to upgrade. And could be apple and the dodo if we're trying to get it to pop off. Definitely true. Adding more attack that will, again, cascade onto the fish as well. Not a bad plan there. So maybe we'll keep the whale around. No, I just was talking about how much I didn't really enjoy putting it into squads, at least not willy-nilly. Now we'll go with that. I think I still want to buff up my fish just a little bit further before we start going towards the dodo, even though I definitely agree if we can get that attack going, it is a nice addition. The one thing that kind of holds me back there is the fact that I find that I value health way more than attacks. Even though the dodo is nice to balance those things out, I think I'd much rather have one creature surviving twice as long, if possible, though that's not always the case. And interesting. Dog, probably slightly too late. Dog is one of the really nice creatures to put on your team, especially if you like playing the way that I've been talking about over the last few minutes here, because if you want to just keep gaining statistical advantages, then this is a nice buddy to have on the line here and just keep summoning in creatures. You need him just buy, sell over and over again to keep gaining these permanent buffs. Though generally, I like to get that started at turn 3, turn 4, and now we are on to 5, though I won't say no completely to you yet. What do I wish to do? I mean, if we swallowed something, we'd get the +4, +2 right away. It's almost like having both these buddies on the line with the whale, only I don't get the free hits and damage from having these critters actually fighting. So, for now, goodbye whale. We'll see if we bring you back. Dog crab is a thing, but yeah, too late. No, for sure. Crab in general is definitely up there. One of the better creatures, especially if you're trying to buff health on one friend. It's nice to have the crab, which will just innately kind of keep pace by stealing the health of that unit. And so you only have to spend money on buffing up one, which is always a bit of a boon for sure. But okie dokie. We do gain another dodo here, which I think we will just slap right on this buddy. Looking to potentially level you up. I wish that we had the option right now, but alas, not the case. So, let's see. One thing we could do is just pop our ant together and bring in a flamingo. So when the flamingo faints, gives the two friends mine +1/+1. So nice little boost to pair along with our ant friends here. Slightly more consistent too with who it's targeting, and that's always nice. And if we did that, we'd probably just go for a temporary boost here, maybe with Cupcake to just get us through this next round with slightly more efficacy, make sure that we survive. Sounds pretty good to me. Let's try it out. We'll play pretty fast and loose for the first round here. I'm actually surprised we got this far without losing a single round yet. I'm definitely ready for that to change. But we can try that out there. Just let the flamingo take something out, die right away. Buff up these two and then keep cascading on. Then the Cupcake, while only a temporary boost and not quite as nice as some of the more permanent additions, still is slightly more efficient than usual just with the bunny, because the bunny's +1 health will stick around after the battle. So I think we'll pop that on our fish, just try and keep them alive and chunking through most of the enemy team, and hopefully that'll be enough to get us through another round here with a win. I think I feel pretty good against this team. Rabbits can always be, or not rabbits, kangaroos, looking at the rabbit, pointing at the kangaroo. Kangaroos can always be scary if they start to buff up, but fortunately, we did have a tough enough fish to chew through that nastiness. And this win would have been a draw if not for our ant hitting this rabbit. So that definitely worked out for us in a good way and was much closer than I care to admit. Okie dokie. If we want to keep buffing up our fish, we could level it again here. We'll at least freeze you while we're thinking about things, just so I don't accidentally re-roll off something. So what I find myself doing a lot is when I want to take a moment to think, I freeze stuff, because otherwise I'm likely to get lost on a train of thought and just re-roll everything like a fool. Alternatively, something like Salad Bowl, even though we can't target it, is really nice with the rabbit, because as long as it hits anything except for the rabbit, we get that nice little extra bonus, right? So I think we will start with that. Hopefully it hits dodo fish. Yeah, I'll take that. That's not bad either. And then we'll probably go for a reroll and see what kind of stuff we get. And okay, that's very nice. I was hoping for a sleeping pill at some point. Nice and cheap, only costs 1 gold, and that allows us to permanently faint something like our flamingo and get this +1/+1 buff onto 2 units for free. So that's always nice. And we'd probably want to put it on our fish and our dodo. So we could pop you back here. In fact, I think we will go for this. Faint ya. Get a little bit of a bonus. Also, nice +1 health to that dead flamingo. I'm sure they appreciate it. And then the question becomes, would we want to roll something like a camel? If I got it a bit earlier and could have been buffing its health up a bit, making sure it survived through a decent number of attacks, that could be nice. But I think I'm willing to roll the dice a little bit here. See if we find anything else over a couple of rerolls that we might want to slot into the team, even as a temporary measure for now. Like a dodo. Okay. We could just pop you in somewhere. It's not bad. Alternatively, we could just level up our dodo. We'd be running just a 4-animal squad, not exactly the best necessarily, but if you have a strong squad, then it's completely worth it. And the level up on the dodo will double the efficacy of this transfer, so we'll gain 2 times the attack, giving our fish an extra 12, which is pretty huge. I mean, still have the same amount of health, so unfortunately, we still have to survive enough hits to actually take advantage of our huge increase in damage, but I'm sure we can handle that. So let's try it out. Pop on our dodo, bring you up, also giving us a nice level up here. Dolphin is really good against certain builds where you're sniping out something like a crab, which we haven't seen so far in this attempt here, but otherwise not a huge deal to deal that extra damage at the start. Still nice statistics rather across the board, or at least half decent. But we'll leave you alone for now, Dolphin, and see if we can't find something else with a nice reroll. Doesn't look like it. So let's end our turn there. Next round we will be unlocking the next tier of pets, so hopefully we can take advantage of something nice there. So we run into this one with a slightly underwhelming squad. Ooh, they have the big dodo too. Interesting. I'm hoping a fish just barely doesn't survive long enough to take out the dog. That definitely clinched in the defeat for us, and there we go, our very first defeat. Now, since we made it past tier 3 pets being unlocked, we do lose 3 health for that as well. But hey, we can afford to do that a few more times without too much issue, so that should be okay. Now, what do we wish to do? Penguin gives other level 2 and level 3 friends +1/+1. We do have 3 level 2s, so it would be doing all right, given some bonuses across the board. Leveling up our dodo further is nice just statistically, even though the score is looking pretty nice right now. Don't know if we want to change that. But it will be a ways off for the level 3 dodo. That's very, very tempting. Not eating a lot, which means we could potentially get rid of the rabbit. Kind of depends on what we run up against in the next little bit here. So let's start off by buying the dodo. I'm going to double freeze and roll and see if we get anything that changes my mind. Bison is very interesting. As long as we can get either our dodo, fish, or ant to level 3, we can start having something that will begin to scale itself up each and every turn without having us to invest in it, which means we can instead divert our money into making our dodo stronger, or even our fish. So that's always kind of nice. Unfortunately, we're not quite there yet, and it will take some pretty big luck to get one of these buddies to level 3 in the next little bit here. May freeze you before I forget. And instead, I think what I'll do is run Penguin and throw the fish down. And we might lose another round here. We have a little bit of health to play with. Not the end of the world. And we'll freeze another food item here to see if we can't start buffing something out. Maybe use this rabbit one more time before we potentially replace it with something else on the roster here. Let's see how that goes. Looking like a half decent matchup for us, depending on where that health went, and it did go to a good place. In fact, no problem whatsoever. 4-person squad or 4-animal squad on our enemy's team there without any huge, what's the word I'm looking for? Symbiotic effects is the only thing that came to mind, but that's way more complex than just synergistic effects, I think is what my brain was trying to get to. And interesting. So we have the opportunity to upgrade our bunny a little bit here. We could also bail out on the penguin play or a double rabbit, feed everything up, see where that gets us. I'm generally a pretty big fan of that. Oftentimes it's better not to just immediately go for the level up combos or combining animals into each other, and instead let 2 level 1s hang around to get the double effect a little bit earlier at the expense, of course, of a couple of spaces here. And that doesn't seem half bad to me. Wide scaling is nice, but unless we can level up this penguin, it's definitely going to get outpaced eventually. So I think I will sell you. Thank you for your service. You've been great. Buy another rabbit. Double up here. Kind of worked out. Didn't like that it hit our bunny, but getting the hit on the dodo does mean a nice little boost to their health, making these two quite a tough combo to chunk past. And then last but not least, we'll probably get this pair. But I think we might as well go for a couple rerolls since we can't afford to I was gonna say can't afford to buy 2 things anyway. Monkey is another creature that I'm a huge fan of, seeing as how I've been talking about how much I love just statistical bonuses. Well, there's one that is nice and consistent, always giving our rightmost unit a little bit of a boost. Especially if we get this bison out there late, it could be really handy to double up on it for a little bit. But for now, I think we have to pass you by, Monkey. I think we'll keep going on this food build for a little bit. At least see how far it takes us. Because we can pair onto you. Gain +4 health out of that. It's pretty huge, especially since we know your damage will be looking quite nice. We freeze the snail, so if we do end up losing this next battle, we can take advantage of that in a half-decent way. And as much as I love Monkey, I think I'm going to say no for now. Leave it for the future. Okie dokie. Cans are always interesting. Give all current and future shop pets +2/+2. Can be a pretty huge advantage. The main reason why I end up buying something like this is if I am looking at my squad and I can tell that I'm probably going to end up selling off at least half of it, which kind of is the case here. I mean, this ant isn't going to be around forever, I don't think. Both these bunnies will probably get sold once their scaling has hit a certain maximum. So it's tempting to lock that around, but I think I'll leave it for now. Looking pretty happy across the board. Not very likely we'll get level ups, I guess, if I have over half the shop frozen. But hey, it's nice to have some contingency. If we lose here, that's going to be a huge statistical bonus to the entire squad. In fact, I'd almost kind of like to lose here. Wouldn't that be nice? You lose to that. Smacks everyone. Oh, for 4. You almost killed your own kangaroo there. But hey, okay. It all kind of worked out. We planned for this. Completely strategic loss. Totally exactly what we wanted to happen, right? Right. But okie dokie. With that in mind, do we want to get rid of the double rabbit? We'll probably keep one around for the time being, but we could combine these to make room for our snail. Start buffing up everyone else. I think now's the time. The other option would be to use like a sleeping pill on the ant, get a permanent statistical bonus on somebody else in the team here. But I think I like the look of this. So we can buy the snail, get a nice bonus, sell it. Buy another snail, get a nice bonus across the board. Probably sell it, but I guess we can hold off for now, see what we get. Aha, perfect. I know we said no to an earlier monkey, but that doesn't mean we can't say yes to this one. It's a shame that we only have 5 gold because garlic armor, allowing every source of damage to do 2 less, to a minimum of 1, I believe, is a really nice advantage that it's a shame we don't have on some of our bigger units here. But for the time being, I think I will bring monkey in. Make sure that all 3 of these units are scaling up nicely. I don't love it hitting our ant. I'd prefer if we could get the monkey to hit our fish, but it's kind of just the way it's got to be, I think, for the time being. Plus the ant is looking pretty good at 1210. It's not bad. So let's freeze garlic. Probably had this bison frozen just a little bit longer than is appropriate, but it's definitely one of my favorite characters in the game. And so I was hoping against hope that we'd get a level 3, which as soon as I unfreeze this, we're probably going to get, you know? So let's not tempt fate there. Leave you around one more turn at least. Please, just give it to me. And that's that. Let's see how the squad does now. There's a little bit of reconfiguration. It's decent. We don't have any flagship animals on the squad right now, unfortunately, which is usually what I'm looking for in this kind of situation. I mean, 41 attack on our fish is pretty sweet, but unfortunately, just gets knocked out by a little bit of damage. Such a shame. That's twice that porcupine builds have gone this. Ouch. Not a great look. And alrighty. What do we want to do now? Dodo would be 1 away from getting to level 3. Unfortunately, it's kind of late for the bison. It takes a few turns to get pump in here. And unfortunately, I don't know if we've got a few turns. We only have 1 more loss left to go here before we end it all. So, maybe we'll buy the dodo for now. I'm keeping this frozen monkey instead of combining right away, because that's another really nice use of sacrificing 2 slots in order to double the efficacy. Can really start buffing up our frontline unit here. We'll reroll once and see how we feel. Because now we can still at least afford to buy 2 different things. And in fact, we can actually afford to reroll 1 more time, bring us down to 5, because we'll probably end up selling something if we want to buy this monkey in the first place. Let's try it out, see if anything changes. Doesn't really look like it. So I think I'll do here, to get a little creative, is while the rabbit's still around, give our fish garlic armor, sell our rabbit to bring in a second monkey, and hopefully we're not too late to the party here and we can start scaling up enough to make that worth it. I probably should have gotten rid of this ant earlier, switched out for something, but hey, it is what it is. Let's just see what happens. If we lose here, then it's just a nice excuse to rewind, restart, and maybe get together a bit of a more synergistic squad. And yeah, this is not looking great. That bison is going to chunk through us, and that's definitely the main reason why I very much respect health over attack, because we had an almost maxed out attack value on our fish during the battle thanks to our dodo. But unfortunately, if you can't survive long enough to dish out that damage more than once, not very likely to do a whole lot for us. So there's our first round. Definitely glad that we got past the server issues in the beginning, because I really was excited to play this today, and I'm glad that we're getting the opportunity, even despite some issues at the start there. Good effort, thank you.